Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live Now from Fox's YouTube page. It is 2:46 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:46 a.m. Pacific Time, and we are standing by right now. President Trump is slated to address at the Villages, Florida. It's a small incorporated community about 50 miles northwest of Orlando. He's supposed to talk about his economic fortitude, especially as it pertains to senior citizens. The Villages, it's an age-restricted community. Those living there have to be over the age of 55. Let's give you a live shot right now at that podium where President Trump is expected to speak. We just saw him board Air Force One not too long ago, maybe about an hour ago. Again, this speech is supposed to come here at 3 o'clock. It might be a slightly delayed, but no worries in the meantime. We do have an expert that's going to help us break down what to expect from the president this afternoon and also talk about his economic agenda. I want to bring into the conversation Professor Gregory Koger of the University of Miami's Political Science Department. Professor Koger, pardon me. Welcome to Live Now from Fox. How are you?
Very good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us here today. And Professor Koger, listen, I think one big piece that everybody's talking about right now in the United States, especially as it pertains to the economy, are around gas prices. They're surging. They're at all-time highs, prices we haven't seen since 2022. Are you expecting President Trump to address the current gas price situation happening right now in the United States?
I mean, probably. I mean, his speeches tend to range across a wide range of issues, and gas prices are certainly something that's top of mind for a lot of Americans, and something that the media has been asking him about. So he'll probably that topic at some point. Um, so just to back up what you were saying, the according to the AAA, the national gas price average is $4.39. That is a 34-cent increase over the last week.
Mm.
That is certainly top of mind for a lot of Americans, and I imagine it'll come up for that reason.
Yeah, and did that 38 cents increase just over the last week? Can we attribute all of that right now to the conflict happening over in the Middle East?
I, I mean, basically, yes. I mean, for rise that fast, it's the one thing that seems to have influenced people's minds. And it's not literally that the flow of oil has changed that much over the last week. It's people's expectations for what's going to happen. I think trading on barrels of oil had stayed around $100 per barrel based on expectations that things would get better, and those expectations seem to have faded, and so the price of oil is going up, and with that, the price of gas.
Yeah, yeah. I know one of President Trump's big pillars in his campaigns in 2024 were about addressing the economy and fixing, in his words, some of the issues that came up from the previous administration. In your eyes, were you kind of assessing where President Trump, what he's done with the economy about 15 months into the job now?
Let me lead with what the American people think of what the president has done. According to a Reuters Ipsos poll that came out today, he's got 27% approval of his economic policies. An average of polls put together by Elliot Morris and the wonderful blog called Strength in Numbers. He's got, let's see, Donald Trump's net approval on inflation and affordability at negative 40%. That's when you take the percent approval minus disapproval. So the American people have turned against the economic policies of this administration. One of the signature policies was, of course, raising tariffs. Starting with raising tariffs on our closest neighbor and allies, including a trade war with Canada. Then, of course, a massive round of trade increases last April 2025 on Liberation Day. Um, a lot of those tariffs turned out to be unconstitutional. They were struck down by the Supreme Court. But in the intervening year, essentially, that those tariffs were in place, they caused a great deal of instability in the global trade system. Uh, and American companies and consumers paid almost 90% of the tariffs that were collected in the United States. Um, and now the Commerce Department is being forced to hand some of that money back to the companies that paid them. So it all turned out, financially speaking, in terms of the money collected, it all turned out to be for naught. Um, but back to the instability, right? So our trading partners then raise tariffs on the United States, and American consumers are paying the price for that. American businesses have lost out on foreign markets. Um, Part of that policy was just the sheer instability. So the companies and consumers didn't know what the tariff rate would be from day to day. In part because the president, when he claimed statutory authority for raising tariffs, uh, incorrectly, according to the Supreme Court, he claimed the authority to raise any tariff on any product from any country anytime he wanted to, for any reason he wanted to, essentially, because he was raising tariffs on countries because he didn't like something that their leader said or a television ad that was run in in a Canadian province. So that instability contributed a great deal to dragging down the American economy, and people know it. Do you want me to go on, or do you want to stay on tariffs?
No, I was actually going to ask you to expand there on tariffs because I feel like that's a word that we heard a lot of last year. You mentioned Liberation Day. That was a big news headline story. You don't hear so much about tariffs anymore, but that's been a huge part of his economic agenda. Where are we kind of at right now? They don't necessarily make the same sort of headlines as they once did, but they're still very much a part of our relationships with foreign nations. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So, on the one hand, when Donald Trump began to implement tariffs in his second term, um, he campaigned on that, right? So it should not have been a surprise to the to the American public, and he did raise some tariffs during his first term. What was different was the scale of the tariff increases. In the past, he had used relatively narrow laws which allowed the president, the administration, to raise tariffs on certain products from certain countries under certain conditions. And instead, Liberation Day marked a global tariff on any country, even those that didn't produce anything. Um, and that was the innovation. And in doing so, without identifying any specific unfair trade practices by other countries, which would normally be the way that you prosecute. You create a legal justification for raising tariffs. Because he didn't go through that process, the United States then began to violate all the trade agreements that we had signed with other countries. And so the long-term effect is to reduce the willingness of other countries to commit to the United States in trade agreements, and to trust that we will abide by the agreements that we have. All right. But it was a longstanding commitment of the president. So yes, a lot of the tariffs that were imposed on Liberation Day, in part, the president backed down because it began to affect the stock market. But others were stricken by the Supreme Court decision indicating that the president didn't have the legal authority to do what he was doing. And instead, the president put in place I believe, as a 10% blanket tariff, 15% blanket tariff, uh, under a different statutory authority, which can only remain in place for 180 days, I believe. So, in about 4 months, we should then come up upon um, a choice on the part of Congress and the president about whether or not to try to maintain some sort of global tariff. Um, in between, I mean, again, the effect has been to raise prices in the United States, to cause a great deal of instability. And so the portion of the US economy that is not tied to artificial intelligence has basically flatlined since April 2025.
Mm.
Uh, People who make things and sell them to the world uh, that are not digital, they have had a tough time. And hiring in all those other industries has flatlined as well. So when we're trying to explain why the president has fairly low poll ratings on the economy and on affordability, it is this. It's because it's one of his signature economic policies, which he imposed on his own individual authority, not with Congress, has not worked out.
Yeah.
Not legally, and not economically, and not politically.
Yeah. I know he'll have a very receptive crowd here in the villages today. The village is about 300 miles away from the University of Miami, where you work, in Coral Gables, Florida. Like I said, an age-restricted community. You have to be over the age of 55 to reside there. It's definitely been a Republican stronghold. President Trump has visited there several times. You've had Republican presidential candidates and even Republican presidents like George W. Bush visit the villages several times over the course of the last few decades. Do you think that there's any significance, particularly with President Trump delivering this speech in the villages?
Yeah. So first, I should highlight the Villages is like the world's largest retirement community. It is immense. It spans across 3 counties, and so um, in good times, it is a tremendous reservoir of votes for Republican candidates. So yes, Republican candidates often go there. And I haven't been there myself, but I've seen a lot of news stories about how if you live there, over the last 10 years, it's been easier to be Republican than Democratic. Like there's a lot of pro MAGA sentiment. Um, that has changed a little bit over the last year, from what I understand. Um, Around the country, there have been No Kings protests that have increased in size, and the number of protests around the country, and that includes apparently significant demonstrations within the villages. And
Mm.
so that marks a significant change that there is. I mean, there are always some people who lean to Democratic in the villages, but apparently the number and intensity of their sentiment has increased. So the Republicans are beginning to worry that they are losing one of the bedrocks of their statewide majority.
Yeah, it should be a very receptive crowd here today. We've been seeing live images all afternoon of the people there. It looks like a lot of people there. A very nice day here, too. The speech is being delivered outdoors, about a 90-degree day in the villages today. Professor Gregory, are there any other issues that you're expecting the president to address this afternoon? And, I guess I want to back up here before I even ask that. The speech is being delivered at 3 o'clock on a Friday. Generally, that time slot, late Friday afternoon, is kind of reserved for, just kind of throwing away things and, trying not to make huge headlines. Do you think it's intentional that he's doing this late on a Friday afternoon?
Oh, hmm, probably. I mean, I don't know exactly what the calculation is. I can say that, I mean, the calculation might be that it's following up on the state of Florida deciding to redraw its congressional districts. That's been going on over the last week. The Florida state legislature has approved a new set of district lines proposed by Governor DeSantis. And so that marks an aggressive Republican attempt to increase the number of congressional Republicans elected from the state of Florida. So I can't speak to why the president's there on a Friday afternoon, but I can say it makes sense that at the same time that they are trying to gain more seats from the state of Florida, that they will also increase the number of campaign events that they're having. That includes bringing in the president and maybe other cabinet figures, and making a real push to um, compensate for losses they expect from elsewhere in the country.
Again, we're expecting President Trump to deliver this economic speech at 3 p.m. Eastern time. It's just past 3 p.m. It's now 3:01. He's a little bit delayed, but rest assured we will have this for you. See a live shot right now of the podium where he will be speaking shortly in the Villages. Dr. Gregory, are there any other issues that you expect the president to address today? We talked about gas prices. We talked about tariffs. You just talked about Florida redistricting with their district lines congressionally here within the state. Do you think there's other issues that he'll bring up today?
Yeah, I don't know if the audience saw the Byron Donalds speech that just ended, but in the screen behind him, there was the screen said no tax on Social Security. So that is something I'd expect them to talk. I would expect President Trump to talk about during this speech. So again, this is a retirement community in Florida. Almost all the audience is going to be on Social Security. And one of the policies passed in the Republican tax bill in 2025 is just lifting the taxation cap on Social Security. So no matter how much money you make, if you're receiving Social Security, you don't have to pay income tax on your Social Security. That benefits people who have enough money to relocate to Florida and live in a nice community, and it's certainly something they want to trumpet in that to that audience.
Perfect.
Other things, go ahead.
No. My
Other
apologies.
things, okay. Other things I expect the president to talk about, because again, like he's probably got a speech that lays out a range of topics, and then he himself might tends to insert other topics. So I would expect him certainly to talk about the ongoing Iran conflict. That is one of the major issues facing this country, and so he can't avoid talking about it. They'll probably explain, what's going to happen from here, why we're in this conflict, what our goals are. Um, Earlier this week, the president endured an assassination attempt at a Washington, D.C. hotel. So he'll probably touch on that. And as he did immediately afterwards, he might then discuss his desire to rebuild the East Wing of the White House with a secure ballroom so that the president can hold events on the campus of the White House without stepping outside, and where he might be exposed to danger.
So many.
Um,
Oh, keep going. I'm
no, go
sorry.
ahead. Oh, and the president often talks about his political enemies, so he'll probably talk about people who have in the past, uh, attempted to prosecute him for crimes he's committed. In the headlines this week, former FBI Director James Comey is now facing charges for inciting violence, and that's likely to be on the president's mind as well.
Absolutely. Professor Gregory Koger of the University of Miami's Political Science Department, we really do appreciate all of your insights and analysis into what we can expect to hear from President Trump in just a few moments live in the Villages, Florida. Professor Koger, thank you so much once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Thanks.
Right.
That was tremendous, and we're so excited to bring you the exclusive coverage of this speech. Like I said, it's slated to come out and happen right around 3 o'clock Eastern time. We're just a little bit behind schedule right now. We're waiting for President Trump to land here in the state of Florida and head over to the Villages where he'll be delivering this speech. Okay, for all of you at home that are going to be watching this speech with us, we do have a poll out right now. How long will President Trump's speech last for today? 10 minutes? 1 hour? 2 hours, 3 hours? It looks like we already have some votes in on 3 hours. If you want to participate in this speech, go to livenowfox.com/connect or scan that QR code in the upper right-hand portion of your screen, and you will be able to participate in our poll today. Let's bring you again to a live shot right now of the podium in the Villages, Florida. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the Villages, It's a city located about 50 miles northwest of Orlando. We just talked to Professor Gregory Koger of the University of Miami. The University of Miami is located in Coral Gables, Florida. The Villages is about 300 miles away from there. It's an age-restricted community. You have to be over the age of 55 to live there, and there's plenty of stuff to do. Golf, recreation, trails and parks, entertainment and shopping and dining, all conveniently situated for its residents. There are golf carts galore. It's the preferred method of transportation. It began in the 1970s and has since gained national fame with a number of documentaries focused on life in the Villages. And like I was talking about with Professor Koger, it's also been a Republican stronghold and has been visited by President Trump several times during his presidential campaigns, not just in 2024, but also in 2016. Now, it's important to note that this speech will be held at the Villages Charter School, which is a K through 12 charter school that serves the children of employees working directly for the Villages or businesses located in the community. This speech is being delivered outdoors. And let me tell you, it is a beautiful day here in Central Florida. It's a little bit on the warmer side, and this is an outdoor event. The current temperature in the Villages is a ripe and steady 90 degrees. So we're excited to bring you exclusive coverage of President Trump's speech focused on his economic plans in the Villages, Florida. Again, that speech is supposed to start at 3 o'clock. It's now 3:08 here in the state of Florida. When President Trump approaches that podium, you've been seeing a number of different security personnel and event organizers kind of getting things situated there. We will be sure to bring you exclusive coverage of that. And it looks like we have a couple more people that have voted in our poll about how long President Trump's speech will last for today. We got several votes in on 1 hour, a couple votes in on 2 hours, no votes in on 10 minutes. Unsurprisingly. Again, if you want to vote in this poll, go to livenowfox.com/connect, or you can hit that QR code in the upper right-hand portion of your screen. Look, it's changing in real time. We even had somebody just vote for 10 minutes, so we'll see if that actually ends up coming to fruition. Again, right here, this is the podium where President Trump will be delivering his speech in the Villages, Florida, and we're excited to bring you exclusive coverage of that right here on Live Now from Fox's YouTube stream. Once again, hello everybody. My name is Adam Lorenz. We're so excited to be with you this afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. No matter where you're at in the United States or around the world, you have come to the right place if you are looking for President Donald Trump's speech here on his economic policies in the Villages, Florida. Again, a very specific location that he's chosen. I just talked about this with Professor Koger of the University of Miami. The Villages, an age-restricted community. You have to be over the age of 55. And as Dr. Koger mentioned there, we are expecting President Trump to speak specifically about Social Security and taxes on Social Security as well. Okay, in the meantime, let's bring you back out now to that live shot of the podium where President Trump will be approaching now at any moment. This speech scheduled to begin at 3 o'clock. It's now 3:10. We are expecting him shortly. Let's take a live listen in as to what's going on right now in the Villages, Florida.
You can't help but smile. A sip of wine, it's summertime. Sweet summertime. Temperature says 93 down at the deposit and guarantee with that swimming hole. It's nice and cold.
All right, you're hearing the lovely tunes there of country music artist Kenny Chesney, his song Summertime, playing there ahead of President Trump's speech here in the Villages, Florida. Let's look at another update on that poll that we had for you all earlier today about the expectations on how long this speech will last. And it looks like the over-under has been officially set at 1 hour nationwide. A number of bets coming in, or not bets, pardon me, votes coming in there. Over 56% of the people thinking that this is going to last about 60 minutes. There are some votes in there for 10 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours. If you want to participate in our poll, go to livenowfox.com/connect. You can also scan that QR code that you see there in the upper right-hand portion of your screen. Okay, again, let's set up what we're about to witness here. This speech is supposed to begin at 3 o'clock. It's now 3:12. We are expecting President Trump here any minute now. This speech is located in the Villages, Florida. The Villages, it's about 50 miles northwest of Orlando. It's considered part of the Orlando metropolitan area, about 300 miles north of Coral Gables, Florida. We just talked to Dr. Gregory Koger of the University of Miami's Political Science Department, the University of Miami, located in Coral Gables, Florida. The Villages, it's an age-restricted community. You have to be over the age of 55, and residents there, they have everything at their fingertips: golf, recreation, trails and parks, entertainment, shopping, dining, you name it. It's in the Villages, and you don't have to really go too far. You can walk most places. You could take your golf cart as well. Okay, it looks like the White House has just tweeted out something about the Villages. There it is. Next stop, the Villages, Florida, and there's President Trump getting on board his helicopter, taking him to Air Force One that will bring him here. And we're changing now live here on the screen. If you were watching our programming earlier here on Live Now from Fox, you heard us talking about Spirit Airlines and a potential shutdown. The president weighing in there, saying if we can do it, we'll do it. Talking about saving Spirit Airlines, but only if it's a good deal. I said I'd like to save the jobs, but we'll have an announcement sometime today. We gave them a final proposal. Perhaps President Trump will touch on Spirit Airlines during his speech today here in the Villages. More on the Villages. It began in the 1970s and has since gained national fame with a number of documentaries focused on life in the Villages. It's also been a Republican stronghold and has been visited by President Trump several times during his presidential campaigns. It's important to note that this speech will be held specifically at the Villages Charter School, a K-12 charter school that serves the children of employees working directly for the Villages or businesses located in the community. This is an outdoor speech, and it is a beautiful day in Central Florida. A little bit on the warmer side. It's about 90 degrees right now in the Villages. Okay, here's another live shot right now of Air Force One. You see that President Trump has touched down here in the Sunshine State, and he will be making his way over to the Villages at any moment. The door is open there. I'm not exactly sure if we have seen President Trump deplane from that door, but let's stick here on this live shot of Air Force One, which again has just touched down here in the state of Florida, and we are expecting President Trump to be heading over to the Villages very shortly. Let's listen into what's going on there at the tarmac. And there he is. There's President Trump deplaning. He is at Ocala International Airport, which is located in Marion County, Florida. Special thanks to our producer here, Julianne, for getting all this information out. Let's listen in again into President Trump now arriving here in the Sunshine State. And there you had it, President Trump. We just saw him deplaning live there at Ocala International Airport in Marion County, Florida, getting onto his helicopter, which will be taking him to the Villages, where he is expected to speak here shortly. We just had a live shot right there. Let's go back to that podium that he'll be speaking at. Look at that. There's the full background. We have it now with the camera pan back. Golden age for your golden years. Again, the Villages, an age-restricted community. You have to be over the age of 55 to live there, hence the background there. And as Dr. Gregory Koger of the University of Miami pointed out, if you look real closely there at the background, and you look there, I know you have to have some glasses to see it. It says no tax on Social Security, and we are expecting President Trump to speak specifically about that as well. We have some Kenny Chesney playing there in the background. We're just going to continue to keep it on this shot. We are expecting President Trump to arrive there at any minute now. Again, if you've been sticking with us, you saw him just touch down in the Villages, and he is aboard a helicopter. He'll be heading there shortly. For reference, Ocala International Airport, located about 26 miles away from the Villages. If you were driving, that's going to be about an hour. It's northwest of the Villages. Again, President Trump will be getting there much quicker than just an hour, taking his transportation by helicopter. President Trump, before he boarded Air Force One earlier today, there was a press gaggle with him on the south lawn of the White House. A number of issues were brought up. The first one was Iran. He was asked if he's considering new strikes on Iran. President Trump said, "Why would I tell you that?" Asked what the CENTCOM commander was briefing him yesterday with, the president said, "Different options. Do we want to go and just blast," and I quote here, "the hell out of them and finish them forever? Or do we want to try and make a deal?" I mean, those are options. He got pressed on that quote there. Again, blast the hell out of them. President Trump replied, "I prefer not. On a human basis, I prefer not. But that's the option. Do we want to go in there heavy and just blast them away? Or do we want to do something?" He also called the government leadership there over in Iran disjointed. And he also said, "Our group wants to make a certain deal. The other group wants to make a certain deal, including the hardliners. The hardliners want to make a deal too. Why wouldn't they? They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft, they have no nothing." So if he's ever asked about U.S. military inventory, the president said, no, we have more than we've ever had, actually, because it's all over the world where we have inventory, and we can take that if we need it. But all over the world, we have tremendous amounts of inventory. The president went further. He got asked about gas prices, and this is what he had to say earlier today. "When the war ends, gasoline prices are going to tumble because there is so much right now on the sea already loaded into tankers that can't escape the strait. There is so much, like record setting, but when the war ends, gasoline prices will go down to below where they were before." Okay, I'm talking about the press gaggle here, but now while we have some time and while we're waiting for President Trump to get to that podium there in the Villages, let's just take a listen in on replay as to what the president had to say earlier today during his press gaggle. And rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, if you're tuning in for this speech that he's going to be delivering here in the Villages, as soon as President Trump approaches that podium, we will be delivering that speech to you. Again, that speech slated to begin at 3 o'clock Eastern time. It's now 3:21, so we're just waiting for President Trump. He just touched down a second ago there at Ocala International Airport. He boarded his helicopter, and now he is en route to the Villages. But now, let's go back to what President Trump said earlier today during his press gaggle at the White House.
The blockade and
China
It's going to be amazing. The visit with China and Chairman Xi, that's going to be great. We have the trip with China coming up, and I think it'll be an amazing event.
Mr. President, if you can't get a deal on Iran, what next? What will you do?
Well, right now we have negotiations going on. They're not getting there. They are very disjointed. They're extremely disjointed. They're not able to get along with each other as leaders. They don't know who the leader is. Their military has been defeated. If we left right now, it would take them 20 years to build back that country. But we're not satisfied at this moment.
Are you considering new strikes on Iran?
Why would I tell you that?
Spirit Airlines, what has been the holdup on a deal? Are they balking?
We're looking at trying to help them, something we're not looking to get involved with, but if we can, it's 14,000 jobs. I would say we're driving a tough deal, but it's one of those things, and we'll do it or we won't. We'll have something for you today or tomorrow.
It seems like the other lenders are balking. They think they'll get bumped down in priority.
Well, they will. We come first. Hey, you know what it is? USA first, America first. That's my fight. Including with airlines, including with Intel. You know, we made an Intel deal. You know that, right? We made about $40 billion on that. And someday Fox and Peter is going to talk about it. But we helped out Intel, and we ended up making $40 billion. So we're looking at Spirit different kind of a thing. But we're looking at Spirit. If we can help them, we will. But we have to come first. We're first. It's America first.
The CEO of Anthropic came to meet Susie Wiles a week or two ago. What is the latest on your position on that company?
Well, only that they had a very good meeting.
You had the CENTCOM commander come in here yesterday. Was he briefing you on a different approach? Options. What kind of options? How would it look different?
There are options. I mean, do we want to go and just blast the hell out of them and finish him forever, or do we want to try and make a deal? I mean, those are the options.
Do you want to go blast the hell out of him?
I'd prefer not.
Forever?
On a human basis, I'd prefer not, but that's the option. Do we want to go in there heavy and just blast them away, or do we want to do something? They're a very disjointed unitship, as you can understand, Peter, very disjointed. I mean, they're not getting along with each other, and it puts us in a bad position. One group wants to make a certain deal, the other group wants to make a certain deal, including the hardliners. The hardliners want to make a deal too. Why wouldn't they? They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft, they have no nothing.
There was some reporting this week that because of all the firepower required for Epic Fury, that there are people in the White House who are starting to worry about our inventory of bombs and missiles. Are you worried?
No, we have more than we've ever had, actually. Because all over the world we have inventory, and we can take that if we need it. But all over the world we have tremendous amounts of inventory, the best. For instance, we're stocked and locked and loaded. Right now, we have more than double what we had when this started. But, you know, we're all over the world. We're in many, many different countries, many different places, all packed up. Now, what happened is Biden came in like a stupid fool, and he gave a lot of what we had to Ukraine. Right. And $350 billion they spent. We don't do that. Everybody has to pay. The European Union pays us, but Biden didn't get money. He got nothing. But he gave a lot of the inventory away. Now, relatively speaking, it's not that, but it was a lot of inventory. He gave it to Ukraine. We built it up, but we have inventory from all over the world.
Are you going to go to the G7? The G7 is in France in June. Will you go to it?
Probably.
Mr. President, will the Lebanese and Israeli leaders be meeting here soon? Mr. President? President NATO.
What about NATO?
Did the king change your mind? King Charles?
No. The king and I had a great, he's just a great person. He's a high-quality person. I love the job he did in Congress. He actually got the Democrats to stand. He's a wonderful person. She's a wonderful lady, a wonderful queen. and we had a good time.
Mr. President, will the Lebanese and Israeli leaders be meeting here soon at the White House?
Yeah, they're going to be coming.
And President Trump, when you go to this is going to be your first big public event since somebody tried to kill you on Saturday. Do you feel safe going to something like this today?
I don't even think about it, Peter.
Do you still support a pardon for Pete Rose, sir?
Oh, I think Pete Rose was great. I think Pete Rose should have been in the Baseball Hall of Fame a long time ago. A long time ago before his death. I think baseball did a great disservice by not respecting his achievements on the field. He was a great player. I knew him.
Mr.
I knew him
President,
well.
sir.
He was a great player.
Will you pardon him?
It seems like you're happy with your blockade and you don't have to restart the war or you don't have to make a deal. Is that correct? Are you happy with the blockade?
The blockade has been unbelievable. Powerful, 100%. It's been actually unbelievable. If we left right now, we had a great victory, but we're not doing that.
So you don't have to do
We're
anything else?
negotiating with them. Their teams are unbelievably disjointed, but we are negotiating.
Mr. President, sir, the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 posted their biggest monthly gain since your first term, sir. Can you talk about what this means to you, the stock market performance, and do you believe that this is going to continue throughout the rest of your term?
Thank you. The stock market is hitting record numbers. We have more people working in the USA today than we've ever had working, as you know. It's in many ways. Now, when this war ends, gasoline and oil and everything is going to come tumbling down. But right now, as of this moment, the stock market has hit record highs. We have more people, again, working in the United States today than at any time in the history of our country. We are really doing well. Now, gasoline's high. Other prices are way down, but gasoline's high. But when this is over, you'll have a world without a nuclear weapon with Iran. If you allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon, the world would be in great jeopardy. So it's not going to happen. As soon as the war ends, the gasoline prices will come
Now, sir, you're going down to the villages. You're going to be talking to our seniors. You've delivered for seniors, no tax on Social Security, most favored nations. Can you talk about everything that you've done to help our senior population, sir?
Well, no tax on tips. We have the largest tax cuts in the history of our country also, and regulation cuts, and it's one of the reasons we're doing so well. So we have no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security for our seniors. We have no tax on overtime. And you know, something that nobody talks about, if you buy a car, if it's American made, you get a deduction on interest for income tax purposes.
But Mr. President,
And by the way, very importantly, right over there, the greatest, you're going to have the greatest ballroom ever built. It's on time, on budget, and it's doing great. So,
And Mr. President, you're going to be hosting the first ever UFC fight at the White House in 45 days, sir. Can you preview the event? Can you talk about the card and what this
they
will
have
mean?
some of the greatest champions in the world. The arena, they're going to start building it over the next week. It's right here. It'll be about 5,000 seats. They'll have 100,000 people down by the ellipse with screens, and it's all free. It's going to be great. I got to go. We inherited the highest inflation in the history of our country, 48 years. In the history of our country.
Mr. President.
And prices are down. When the war ends, it shouldn't be too long. They want to make a deal so badly, but they're not there yet. They're not there, in my opinion.
Mr. President.
When the war ends, gasoline prices are going to tumble because there is no...
Okay, there you had President Trump earlier today during his press gaggle at the White House before he boarded Air Force One to come down here to the state of Florida, where he's going to be delivering a speech in the villages at any moment now. Let's just give you another live shot of that podium where we're expecting President Trump at any moment to approach it. He landed at Ocala International Airport about 10-15 minutes ago, and he is en route now to the villages. This speech slated to begin at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's now 3:31 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, I'm Adam Lorenz. Earlier today at the villages, there were a number of other speakers, and one of those speakers was Florida U.S. Representative Byron Donalds. Byron Donalds is probably the Republican frontrunner to receive the Republican nomination for governor. He is endorsed by President Trump, and he spoke earlier today as well. Let's listen into what Representative Donalds had to say earlier today, speaking on that same podium where we're expecting President Trump. Some technical difficulties that we're having there on my end. We're going to try to load that clip up earlier today of Representative Byron Donalds speaking at the Villages. In the meantime, let's just give you another live shot right now at the podium where we're expecting President Trump to approach it at any moment now. Okay, you just got a live shot there, some Billy Joel playing at the Villages where we're expecting President Trump at any moment now. As promised, here's Representative Byron Donalds' speech earlier today on that same stage where President Trump will be speaking later. Byron Donalds, he is running for the Republican nomination for the governor's seat in the state of Florida, and he is endorsed by President Trump. Let's listen in to Representative Byron Donalds earlier today.
Is it a great time to be alive in the Villages today? Is it a great time to live in the greatest nation man has ever known, the United States of America? Aren't you glad that Kamala Harris is not President of the United States? It's great to be home in Florida. We were in D.C. this week. God help us all. But I got to tell you, about 18 months ago now, the time has been moving pretty fast. All of us in this room and all across this country, we were fighting hard, together, united, in purpose, in spirit, in deed. We made sure people got registered to vote. We got them to the polls. They cast their ballots. And we made sure that Florida went red and the United States of America followed our lead. During the presidential campaign, the president and I would talk about how we felt the polls were going. And as we started getting into, mid-October, late October, I said to him, I said, sir, I think you're going to sweep the battleground states. And he would be like, really? And I would say, I don't want to talk about it publicly because I don't want to jinx it. But no matter where you were in America, one thing was clear. The American people were fed up. They were fed up. They were done. We were tired of the reckless policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We were sick to death of the insanity of Nancy Pelosi. Randy, they still don't like Nancy Pelosi, Randy. They don't like her. But more often than that, what the American people simply wanted was common sense. They wanted common sense to reign. They wanted conservative policy to reign. And that fight was nowhere was it greater than here in Florida, because here in Florida, we know what common sense conservative policy means to a state. And so election night was a great night because he swept the battleground states. He won the popular vote because the American people spoke loud and clear. They wanted to make America great again. And that work started on day one. On day one, President Trump ordered the Department of Homeland Security to close our borders, seal them up, and not let any more illegal aliens into the United States of America. And from that day forward, border crossings at our southern border have gone to zero. Proving once and for all that this wasn't about Washington not being able to get something done. This was about having a president of the United States that puts the American people first and puts America first. And then he started the work of having the Department of Homeland Security, and yes, let's call them exactly what they are, our ICE agents who were red-blooded Americans, who are patriots to this country, who deserve the respect of everybody in this country. Let's be very clear about something. The radical, enraged, crazy, stupid Democrat Party, they do not want your borders secure. They want them wide open. They do not want common sense to reign. They want to vilify the men and women who work hard to secure this nation. But President Donald J. Trump would have none of it. We made sure those borders were secured, and we're sending those criminal, illegal aliens home. And then on Capitol Hill, we got to work. The president was clear throughout the entire campaign that we were going to make sure that the American people were able to keep their money in their pockets, because your money is better spent when you do it than if you give it to some bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. And with my colleagues on Capitol Hill, Republicans, and notice what I'm about to say, Republicans, we fought to make sure that there were no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and the largest tax cut on Social Security. No tax on Social Security. So let's be clear, when you go to the polls this November, you make sure the Democrats know loud and clear that you never fought for us. You never stood for us. You never protected this nation. You don't stand for our Constitution, and you do not deserve to have any power in Washington or anywhere else in America. You got Hakeem Jeffries coming down here trying to lecture our governor and our members of the legislature. He's talking about how we're gonna F around and find out. Us in Florida? What a fool. There's a reason why he's the minority leader in Washington, D.C., and after this November, when you go to the polls, he will remain the minority leader in Washington, D.C. Because the only thing that the Democrats want to do is impeach Donald Trump. The only thing they want to do is impeach. We got another crazy one. Impeach Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth is doing a great job as the Secretary of... And I do like how the president just said, we're enough with the games. It's the Secretary of War. Because if our adversaries and our enemies think that we are going to hold back on them, they will find out like the Iranians found out. That's F around and find out. Recruitment in the military armed forces is at record levels. And it's at record levels because young men and young women across America realize that President Trump has their back and that the culture will be about making sure they are prepared to defend this enemy against this nation against all enemies. Wilton talked about our farmers here in Florida. I will tell you myself and Senator Moody, we know firsthand that this administration, the Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, they are fighting hard every day for Florida ag because ag in Florida is critical to the national security of the United States. And that's what this president is about, fighting for the security of these United States. And then we got to this craziness. You had our ICE agents doing their job that you, the American people, asked them to do. You asked them to do that job. You asked them to do that job because you made Donald Trump the 47th president of the United States. And then these Democrats, they have the temerity, they have the gall to dox our ICE agents trying to do their job, to threaten them in the cities and the streets of America, to agitate, to try to block them from doing their job. And then you have a moron like the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, and he's a moron, folks. Who did not do what our governor here in Florida, Ron DeSantis, has done. That fool Tim Walz would not do the right thing and instruct his law enforcement community to support our ICE agents. No, he told them to get out of the way and allow confusion and chaos into the streets of Minneapolis. The American people need to know the truth. The chaos you see on TV, that is brought by Democrats who do not want common sense in our country. They just want power to continue to destroy the greatest nation man has ever known. But we got a president that's not going to let that happen. I'm standing with him. You're standing with him. People need to know the truth. Here's the truth. The Democrats do not care about your well-being. When Joe Biden was in charge, there was more fentanyl being trafficked into this country. That was the #1 killer of Americans between the ages of 18 and 45, and they did nothing. When Joe Biden was in charge, the drug cartels had operational control of our southern border. And on day one, Donald Trump said, hell no, they are terrorist organizations and we're going to stop them dead in their tracks. The American people need to know the truth. You want to know why it's so expensive to build housing in our country? Because the Democrats believe in radical regulatory policy that makes it harder to build housing, makes it harder to resource and have access to raw materials so we can decrease the cost of building homes in America. That is why these things are more expensive. And Ashley Moody's fighting in the Senate every single day, but she has a colleague from New York named Chuck Schumer who is a clown and is not smart. And so that's why every 2 years we have to go back to the polls and we ask you, come on and show up. Come on and fight for America. Come on and live up to the ideal laid out by Benjamin Franklin that this is a republic if you can keep it. So I'm excited. I'm excited because when we cross the state and when we invite President Trump home to Florida, when we have him come home to Florida, I see the same resolve that I saw in October of 2024. I see the same fighting spirit of the red-blooded men and women of the United States of America. I see that when the other king from across the pond came over, I mean, listen, can we talk about this for a moment? The Democrats are all in the street, no kings, no kings, no kings. King Charles comes over and they're like, oh, this is amazing, let's stand and applaud. So ridiculous, so ridiculous. But what I see is the fighting spirit of men and women who want to not just keep Florida free, they want to keep the United States free. They want the golden age of America to start today. And I'm just going to tell you, folks, that battle's in front of us. Our opponents, the Democrats, they are crazy. They're crazy. We got one of our colleagues from the Florida House who just passed new maps. Thank you, guys. The Florida House and the Florida Senate and Governor DeSantis. Thank you, guys. And one of these crazy Democrats had a bullhorn, and they were shouting in the bullhorn on the floor, almost blew out her eardrum. I mean, crazy. The only way you defeat crazy is you stand up to it. You stand up to it, you call it out when you see it, you make sure you get to the polls, you fight for this country, you cast your ballot, you keep Florida red, and you tell the Democrats, sorry, no blue wave, you just got beat again. The Democrats still want to take the puberty from young kids in our country. Congresswoman Kat Cammack is sitting down front row. Hey, Kat. How you doing? We had a bill on the floor of the House that once and for all would ban the mutilation of kids. Would ban it once and for all. And you had something like 180 Democrats vote no. Because they're radical, folks. Just because they lost doesn't mean they changed. They have the same policies, the same ideas, the same thing that drove up prices, the same thing that led to an invasion of our country, the same thing that let fentanyl kill our people, the same thing that allowed for Rachel Morin and Jocelyn Nungari to be murdered in the streets of America. They support the same policies and they have not changed. So we have a responsibility this November to support President Trump and to make sure we turn out every red-blooded American, regardless of party, to the polls to fight for this country once again. And the one thing I will assure you, we go ahead and win this November. And by the way, I feel we're going to win this November. The wind will be at the back of the commander-in-chief to lead this nation into the future the same way you asked him to lead this country into the future in 2024. He needs you now more than ever. We cannot stop because of the insanity of the radical left. We have to push on. We have to preserve this great nation for another 250 years, and that battle starts this November. God bless you, the Villages. God bless you guys. It is always great to be in Florida's friendliest hometown. God bless you. God bless America. God bless Florida. We're going to keep it red and we're going to keep it free. God bless you.
There you had it. That was Representative Byron Donalds delivering a speech earlier today in the Villages, Florida, ahead of President Donald Trump speaking there. That speech supposed to start at 3 p.m. Eastern time. It's now 3:53 here in the East. If you were paying attention there at the small box located at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you saw President Trump aboard Marine Force One land on his helicopter in the Villages, get into his motorcade, and now he is on his way over to that podium where he will be speaking live here at any minute now. Let's give you another live shot of that podium. You have some event organizers and some security making some last-second revisions to the speech and to the teleprompter there before President Trump arrives at that podium. Okay, let's go to another poll that we've got right now up on LiveNOWFox.com/connect. Which topic do you want President Trump to focus on today? The economy, redistricting, the Iran conflict, or Spirit Airlines? Spirit Airlines making some news earlier today. It was said that they might be shutting down at any time soon. It's also important to note Spirit Airlines is headquartered here in the state of Florida, and of course President Trump speaking here in the Sunshine State as well. If you want to vote on this, go to LiveNOWFox.com/connect. You can also scan that QR code on the top right portion of your screen to participate in today's poll. Okay, let's set up again what we're expecting here at the Villages. Any moment now, we're expecting President Trump to speak on the economy. You see there behind the podium, no tax on Social Security. That's going to be a major issue that he's going to be touching on. If you're unfamiliar with the Villages, it's a community located about 50 miles northwest of Orlando. It's considered part of the Orlando metropolitan area. It's an age-restricted community. You have to be over the age of 55 to be a resident there. There's golf, recreation, trails and parks, entertainment, shopping, dining, all conveniently situated for its residents. The preferred mode of transportation around the Villages, of course, what else? It would be the golf cart. It began in the 1970s and has since gained national fame with a number of documentaries focused on life in the Villages. And it's also important to note that this has become a Republican stronghold and has been visited by President Trump several times during his presidential campaigns. Now, this speech specifically will be held at the Villages Charter School, which is a kindergarten through 12th grade charter school that serves the children of employees working directly for the Villages or businesses located in the community. This is also an outdoor event. It's a beautiful day in Central Florida, a little bit on the warmer side. The current temperature in the Villages right now, a ripe 90 degrees. So that's what we're waiting on right now. President Trump expecting to approach that podium at any moment. If you've participated in our poll, we really thank you. Here are some preliminary results of the poll. Which topic do you want to see President Trump focus on today? The economy, redistricting, the Iran conflict, or Spirit Airlines? Thank you. Oh, look at it. It's changing in real time. The economy getting the most votes right there at 46%. The Iran conflict now at 36%. Spirit Airlines and redistricting both checking out at 9%. To participate in this poll, go to LiveNOWFox.com /connect. You can also scan that QR code at the top right portion of your screen to participate. In the meantime, let's bring you back here into Live Now from Fox headquarters. I'm Adam Lorenz. We are waiting for President Trump to deliver this speech in the Villages. It was slated to begin at 3 o'clock, and now as I glance over to the clock to the right of me right now, I see that it's 3:57. The president running just a little bit behind the schedule, about an hour behind. We did see him land via helicopter in the Villages and get into his motorcade, and he is en route to the Villages Charter School, where he will be speaking at this podium that you see there on your screen. We had Representative Byron Donalds talk earlier today. Representative Byron Donalds is a state representative here in the United States House of Representatives. He is also the Republican frontrunner to receive the nomination for governor. He does have the endorsement of President Trump. So we brought you that speech in its entirety as it aired earlier today. Let's just listen in as to what's going on right now inside the Villages Charter School, where we are expecting President Trump at any moment.
Then everybody be surfing like California. You'd see them wearing their baggies, Warachi sandals too, a bushy blonde hairdo, surfing USA. You'll catch them surfing at Del, Ventura County line, Santa Cruz and Tristan, Australia's Caribbean, all over Manhattan, and down Doheny Way, everybody's gone surfing USA. We'll all be planning out a route we're gonna take real soon. We're waxing down our surfboard, we can't wait for June. We'll all be gone for the summer, we're on safari to stay. Tell the teacher we're surfing USA. We can't wait for June. We'll all be gone for the summer, we're on safari to stay. Tell the teacher we're surfing USA. And Anchorage and Swan, Pacific Palisades, inside, outside USA. San Onofre and Sun, Redondo Beach, LA, inside, outside USA. All over La Jolla, at Waimea Bay, inside, outside. Everybody's gone surfing USA. Everybody's gone surfing, surfing USA. Everybody's gone surfing, surfing USA. Yeah, everybody's gone surfing, surfing USA. Yeah, everybody's gone surfing. Come on over, baby, whole lot of shaking going on. Yes, I say come. Whole lot of shaking going on. Yeah, I said shake, baby, shake. I said shake, baby, shake. I said shake it, baby, shake it. I said shake, baby, shake. Come on over. Oh, a lot of shaking going on. Oh, let's go. Shake it, baby. Yeah. You can shake it one time for me. Has to come over, baby. Oh, a lot of shaking going on. Now let's get real low one time now. Shake, baby, shake. All you gotta do, honey, is kind of stand in one spot. Wiggle around just a little bit. And that's when you got some. Yeah. Oh, baby, oh, a lot of shaking going on. Now let's go one time. Shake it, baby, shake it. Shake it, baby, shake it. Ooh, shake it, baby. Come on, baby, shake it, baby, shake it. Come on up. Oh, a lot of shaking going on. You used to say, live and let live. Know you touch it, know you touch it, know you touch it. Thought if this
If you're just tuning in, we are expecting President Trump to approach that podium at any moment now. This speech scheduled for 3 p.m. Eastern Time. If you are watching with us right now, it is 4:07 Eastern Time, 1:07 Pacific Time. We are waiting for President Trump. We do know that he is on the ground. He touched down in the Villages via helicopter. And let's listen in. It looks like the president might just be arriving. All right, that was not the president. That was just a photographer there trying to get pictures of the people that were there. Let's just set up this community again. If you're unfamiliar with the Villages, it's located about 50 miles northwest of Orlando. It's an age-restricted community. I think that's going to be a theme that you're going to see a lot of during this speech here today. And there's the president. Let's listen in.
I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. And it's great to be here. I'm thrilled to be back in the home of a great place. I love Florida. We love Florida. With all of the very proud, great American patriots of the Villages. Are we happy with the Villages? We like the Villages. Now, you know, I shouldn't be here. There was just an attempt. I won't use the word, an attempt, they say, on my life. I should be indoors at a secure facility where I can quietly, beautifully, and safely play out my term, destroying everything that comes in our way, like bad countries that want to get nuclear weapons. We'll take care of that. So they want me to be in a secure place. I said, what's more secure than the Villages? Here we go. No. I heard the seniors were waiting at the Villages, and there's no way we got like 97% of the vote. Remember all those frauds? They said, whoa. Remember Sleepy Joe and Kamala? They came up, oh, we love you more than Trump. And you said, no, you don't. You don't love us more. You're a bunch of phony bastards. But as you know, this is the single largest community of seniors anywhere in the world. And frankly, it's the largest crowd you've ever had assembled. You know, it's very interesting. They built this, but when I first started, they didn't have this. We had a little tiny room, so we went outside. We had a tremendous crowd, but I don't know if you see what's going on. They have an overflow room that's bigger than this. Why the hell didn't I go there to start off with? What's going on? And then they have outside, they have thousands and thousands of people, and we love them all. We love them all. So we're here to celebrate a policy that benefits every American senior all across this land, and it's called No Tax on Social Security. It's done. It's done. You know, I took a poll at one of the events. I said no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, or no tax on Social Security, all of them. So let's do it now. Let's do another poll. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax. So what you do is you're going to cheer for the one you like the most of the three, all right? No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. No tax on Social Security. I'm telling you, Dr. Phil, that's the one they like. This Social Security, I thought that was maybe a sleeper. This is more than a sleeper. No, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. That's what we like, right? So our great, big, beautiful bill was the largest tax cut in American history. And as a result, more than 51 million American seniors now pay a federal tax rate of 0. 0. And this isn't talk. This isn't, I'm going to get it for you. Look, these guys up here, front row Joes, they're all over. I can't get rid of them. What are you, 219? I think they're 219 rallies. They are sick individuals, but we love them. I don't know what the hell they do, but they have money someplace because they do a lot of traveling. Look at the front row Joes. But we provide seniors, and we have a record-setting average tax deduction this year of more than $7,500. Think of that. You know, it's been amazing. And on all of them, people, and I've seen it even on the fake news. Look at all the fake news back there. What? That's a lot of fake news. That's a lot of fake news. That's a lot of fakers. Did you see where they had a study done, and Trump on the evening news gets 93% bad publicity, 93. And yet, I won in a landslide. Now, you know what that means? Now think of it. 93%, and you know, like with Kamala, she made a bad statement on CBS 60 Minutes, and they had to pay me a lot of money, $38 million. You know what she did? Her statement was so bad the night before the election, it was so bad, that they took another answer that she gave, which was not bad. It wasn't good. It was nothing. And they put it in where she, and we found out they did it. They changed the answers. BBC has me, AI, saying about hate. We hate, we hate. I said, that's not me. They changed my lips. I couldn't even tell myself. I said, I didn't know. This gets very, but think of it, 93% bad stories, only bad. And if it's a good story, they make it bad. You know, you can make anything bad. You could have a baseball team won 21-2, and the writer says they should have won by more. That's where we are. We're winning 25-0, and they say we should be doing more. There's never been a first term of a president, they say, and even the radical left lunatics say it, that's accomplished more than we have. It's never happened. Never happened. But just to finish off, you know, I love the weave because the weave is great. You go out, Pa, go out. You always have to come back. Someday I won't come back, and they'll say, all right, he's shot. That's the end of him. The weave, I call it, the weave, because you get a lot of stories into one little sentence. But when you have 93% and you win in a landslide, you know what it means? It means that the media has lost total credibility. Nobody believes them. That's what it means. Very simple. But thanks to the massive tax cut, American seniors just received your largest tax refunds of all time, by far. And here in the Sunshine State, we've issued 2.5 million Florida seniors over $13 billion. Now think of that. Now, I don't happen to be a senior. I'm much younger than you. I'm a much younger man than you. Look at you old guys. Wouldn't you like to be my age? It's young, vital, vibrant. No, I'm much, much younger than the people in this room, but I feel I can relate to you anyway. See, now the fake news will go tonight and they'll say, he's claiming to be younger than the people. Do you understand? That means more money to visit your grandkids, bigger budget for taking a trip to someplace that you want to go, or extra dinners out with your family. You're going to do a lot. You're going to do a lot. You know what to do with the money. But I saw it recently. People are being interviewed. And yeah, why don't you sit down here? Come on, front row, Joe. Sit down. Get them all to sit down. You know, it must be good when front row Joes still stand up after 300 or something, whatever the hell. They're still standing. That's pretty good. But it's been an amazing period of time. Our country is hot again. We have a great country again. We're respected as a country again. So these are your golden years, but these are really beyond your golden years. This is the golden age of America. This is where we are. We're in a period of time, and you've lived, and you're going to live a long time longer, but you're going right now through the golden age of America. The crooked Joe Biden people, these are radical left lunatics that almost destroyed our country. I'll tell you what, if we didn't win this election, I believe our country was dead. I don't think it could have sustained the open borders, transgender mutilization of your children. I believe our country, men playing in women's sports, they say that's an 80-20 issue. It's not. It's a 99-1 issue. The mutilization of your children, that's a 99-1 issue. These aren't 80-20. They say that's a 70-30 issue. It's not a 70. It's every one of them, and so many others. Frankly, look, they have the worst policy in history, but they stick together. Republicans have to stick together. If we stick together, we can't be, because we have great policy. Common sense policy. Under crooked Joe Biden, American seniors were ravaged by the worst inflation in the history of our country, devastating the budget, senior citizens. You know, when I say the history of our country, I'm always criticized because they correct me. They say it was 48 years. It wasn't history. It was 48. And I think that sounds pretty bad, too. I actually think 48 years, it sounds more specific. It actually is better. So they say the worst inflation in 48 years. I say the history of our country. But you had the worst inflation we've ever seen. Prices soared. Healthcare costs skyrocketed as Biden and the radical left Democrats in Congress allowed 25 million illegal aliens to pour into our country. This was an invasion. An invasion of our country. Tell them to turn up the microphone, will you please? Turn up the mic. You know, I hate it. You pay these guys a lot of money, and then you get up and the mic isn't on properly. And then they want their money, and I don't believe in paying people to do a bad job. I only like to pay people. I pay early. And I'm screaming my ass off because the mic is no good. Turn the mic up, please. Amazing. But all of that changed the day I took the oath of office on January 20th, 2025. Under the Trump administration, we're standing up for American seniors like no president has ever stood up before. And just as I promised, we're strongly protecting Social Security and Medicare, and we always will. We have a man here who knows more about Medicaid, Medicare, medical crap than any human being. Where's Dr. Oz? Where the hell are you? Stand up. He's great. It's the most boring trip I've ever made. He's telling me about Medicare, Medicaid. All I want to do is take care of you. I don't care. I said, you work out the details, but I did say, give them the max. That's all I care about. Give them whatever the hell the max is. But Oz has been great. You have been great. And Bobby's been great. He's a little different. Do you agree? We needed somebody a little different, and we got him in Bobby Kennedy, right? But they work together. And it's great. You know, I brought somebody else with me. He's central casting for a Treasury Secretary. If you're casting a movie, look at them. They're already excited. You know, a lot of people didn't know him. He was very successful, great success, actually, but people didn't know him. Now he walks down the street and people are asking for his autograph. It's crazy. Scott, stand up, please. Scott Bassett. They wanted to be here. You know, I gave him an option. I said, I can meet you guys later. No, you're going to the villages. We want to be with you, so it's sort of cool. We got a lot of celebrities here, actually. But together with the Republicans in Congress, we've removed nearly 300,000 illegal aliens from the Social Security roll. And we've removed more than 100,000 migrants from Medicare eligibility. 100,000, and the number's going up. What we're really doing is saving Social Security because it was so rife with fraud, and the Democrats didn't care. They couldn't care less. All they care about is Trump derangement syndrome. They are sick. They are lunatics. We're dealing with lunatics. You can do, but I've learned, you know, with time, I've learned, if I want something, I go the opposite. In other words, if I want the wall, I say, I will not, under any circumstances, build the wall. And they give me all the money I want. True, just go the opposite. They're crazy. They're crazy. It actually is a disease. I think they're going to register it next week, Trump derangement. Trump derangement syndrome. They're going to, TDS, it's commonly known as TDS. This man has an incurable case of TDS. To further stop Medicare and Medicaid from being looted by criminals and thugs, we've launched a war on fraud. You've been watching it in the papers. We're all over Minnesota, California, all over the place. They're taking down hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of people a week and a day. It's led by great Vice President J.D. Vance. He's doing a great job. I said, J.D., I want that job. I want to do it as president. They said, you better, let's do a little delegation, please. But J.D.'s done a great job. Thousands and thousands of people are, it's a fraud. I mean, look at the wonderful country. It's a beautiful country. You should try it sometime. Somalia, it's a beautiful place. It's got no government. It's got no military. It's got no anything. It's got one thing that's really strong, crime. It's got a lot of crime. They have no police. All they do is run around shooting each other. It's filthy dirty, disgusting dirty. It's a horrible place. They come here, and Ilhan Omar, you ever hear of her? She heads it. And think of it. They have nothing but crime, poverty, pollution. Everything is horrible over there. Nothing good. They say it's the worst country anywhere in the world, and we got some beauties out there, but it's the worst. And then she comes here from Somalia, and she tells us how to run the United States of America. She says, the Constitution gives me certain rights. Gives me certain rights. And I demand that I be given these rights. Get the hell out. What a phony. And then she married a brother to come in. I don't know, you're not. But I would imagine they're looking at her. I have nothing to do with it. I would imagine. Of course I have nothing to do. I have nothing, but I believe she married her brother, which is totally illegal. Although it's a lovely couple, actually, but it's a little bit on the illegal side. Darling, I love you very much. Good night, brother. Let's go to bed. Good night. Isn't she despicable? I can't stand watching her. I can't stand. Did you see last month, she accidentally checked the wrong box. It said she was worth $38 million. And law enforcement came after her for that. And then all of a sudden, she was worth less than $80,000. And she said it was accounting. It was an accounting error. That was not a very good accountant, was it? Huh? No, their whole life is based on fraud and a scam. The whole thing is a scam, and we ought to get those people the hell out of our country. To get better care to our seniors much more quickly, my administration has dramatically accelerated Medicare prior authorizations, a big deal. That's what used to take days and weeks and months to get, and now you're getting it done in a matter of minutes. Really, I mean, unbelievable job you've done. Minutes. And we have a big search for fraud. Very little. You know, when people get arrested all over Minnesota, all over California, wait till you see what we're coming up with in California. Gavin Newsom is not good. But he gave the worst interview a month ago. Did you see it? Where he said he was incompetent, he can't read, he can't write, he can't do it. He said he's horrible for testing. We should give him a cognitive test. I took 3 of them. Aced all of them, by the way. You know, I'm the only president to take a cognitive test, because I don't think Obama could pass it. I don't. Didn't he get into Harvard with a C average? I don't know. What's that? I don't think he could pass it. I don't think, well, Biden isn't. Give me a break. You know, the first question is very easy. It's a lion, a giraffe, a bear, and a shark. They say, which one is the bear? And everybody says, 30 questions. Everyone says, very standard. It's a very standard test, but very tough around those last 10 questions, not too many people, even in this very room, unlike Newsom, I'll say, this room of geniuses. He said, I'm in a room of dumb people. That was not good. That was not good. You know what happened to him after that? It wasn't a pretty, but I'm in a room of brilliant people, but a lot of you wouldn't have been able to answer those 10 questions. And when I got the score in the test, the doctor said, wow, I've never seen, you know, you have 5 doctors lined up. They're all over the place. I said, should I take it? You know, I've had different phases. They've said, he's a mad genius. I didn't mind that too much. Then they said, he's a horrible human being. I don't like that much. Then they said, he's really not a smart person at all. I really hated that. So I took a cognitive test, and I said to the doctor, first doctor is Dr. Ronnie. You know Doc Ronnie. We all love Doc Ronnie. But he had a whole team of doctors at Walter Reed, a great place. I said, so should I do it? He said, well, it's a tough exam, actually. You know, those last 20 questions, they get tough. A lot of people can't do them. I said, well, what do you think? He said, well, if you do it, they're going to find out, because it's essentially a public, you know, it's a military hospital. If you do badly, they're going to find out, and it won't be pleasant. I said, well, I do well on things, so let's do it. And I got everyone right. And these are tough questions. These are tough questions, you know. They say, take a number, any number. Okay, I'll take 99. Multiply times 9, okay? Divide it by 3, good. Add 4,293, that's good. Divide by 2. Subtract 93. Divide by 9. What is your answer? Now, they go a little slower than that, but not much. I don't want to waste a lot of time. But there aren't a lot of people that get it right. I got it right. You know, it was actually longer and more complex. But no, it's a tough test, so I took it. And then, everyone said, all right, good, he's smart. He's smart. It's not really smart. It's like, you know what we are, really? We have common sense. We're people with common sense, right? We like strong borders. We don't like open borders for the world to pour into our country, right? From prisons all over the Congo, all over South America. The Congo, I tell you what, the Congo, they just used to think that we were just an open cesspool where they take all their prisoners and dump them into our country. Parts of South America, the same thing. It's terrible. So, as you know, we've done a fantastic job. But I just felt, and I put out yesterday a statement, I think anybody running for president or vice president should be forced to take a cognitive examination. Right? I mean, you get a guy, he gets in, he's got a good line of crap, he gets in, and all of a sudden you're stuck with a man who's a moron. You know, this is not good. This is not good. We went through 4 years of it. It's not a good situation. But we also dramatically increased coverage for outpatient clinical care known as site-neutral payments, stopping seniors from being ripped off by billions of dollars of outrageous fees that they charge, billions and billions of dollars, right? Oz. And on top of these major Medicare improvements, I'm pleased to report today that we have authorized $210 million in rural health care funding for the great state of Florida. 210. We're taking some of the money that they scammed. You know, we're catching billions of dollars, billions. Minnesota, it's like you ever hear the expression, shooting fish in a barrel? It's like shooting fish in a barrel. And that governor and that attorney general are so crooked. It's so horrible. It's so horrible. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, stranger things have happened, I will tell you. By the way, and our attorney general is doing a very good job, isn't he? Todd Blanche, he's doing a very good job. A lot of action. There's a lot of pent-up action. Perhaps most importantly for our great seniors, I've secured the largest reduction in drug prices in American history. You say it. Under my most favored nation agreements, we are delivering you the record-setting discounts with price differences of 400%, 500%, and 600, 700, and even sometimes 800% reductions. Now, some people would say it's 80, 90, 70. It depends on the way you phrase the statement. But it could be 500, 600%. It could be 90%. It doesn't matter. We've gotten you the largest reductions in history, the largest reductions. We were the most overpriced. We had the highest price for prescription drugs anywhere in the world, and now we have the lowest prices anywhere in the world. That's all you have to know. And to get that, because Oz said to me, you know, it's going to be very tough. The drug companies are going to be bad, but we had to get the approval of other nations. As an example, I talk about the fat drug. The fat drug, a friend of mine who's extremely fat and very wealthy and very obnoxious. He's a very unattractive individual, actually. But he's extremely smart, very, very successful. He's a highly neurotic person, semi-controlled. I would say, you know, usually I like to say I like a neurotic person, but it has to be controlled. This guy's only semi, but he's in London, and he calls me, he goes, President, in New York, I'm paying like $87 for the fat drug. He called it the fat shot. I've given it that name, the fat shot. And I said, well, it's not working too well for you. But he said, I pay $87 in London. In New York, I'm paying like $1,300. So I'm paying $1,300 and $87. What's that all about? And other people would call me the same, but he made a big imprint because he's a very smart guy. He said, you know what, I had it traced. It's made in the same factory. It's made by the same company. Everything's the same except the price. One's $87 and one's $1,300. He said, this is ridiculous. And it did hit me the right way. And we went to town, didn't we, Oz? We went to town. And And we shamed the drug prices because they were for years saying, well, you know, it's research and development. I said, well, it's research and development for them also, right? But we got them. They weren't easy, but we got all of them lined up. But they said it didn't matter. The reason we got them because they said we'd never get the other countries. We had to get approval of the other countries where they'd have to double their prices and triple their prices because we come way down, they go up a little bit because the world is bigger than us, right? So they go up a little bit. So I'd call up, like, as an example, France. I spoke with Macron, right? You know Macron, he's a wonderful guy, president of the country, a nice guy. So I say, Emmanuel, your drug prices are a tiny fraction of ours. We can't have that. We're going to have to raise it. No, Donald, I will not do that. No, you will do it, Emmanuel. No, you do it. 100% you're going to do it. No, I will not do it. And this went on for about 2 minutes. I'm saying you will. He's saying he won't. So most people would say he won't do it. Then I said to him, Emmanuel, if you don't do it, I'm going to put a 250% tariff on all wines and champagnes that you ship into our country. And he said, Donald, how dare you? You should not do that. You cannot do that. And I said, no, I'm going to do it. Okay, you have a deal. That was it. That was it. And I told Oz couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. And we had the same thing with Germany. We had the same thing with other countries. I said, look, you're not going to do it. We're going to tariff the hell out of you at double the number that you're talking about. And they all agreed. Every one of those countries agreed. And now you have the lowest drug prices anywhere in the world from the highest. And that alone should win us the midterms. But, you know, the fake news doesn't like to write about it. They don't even like, I noticed a couple of the cameras went off when I was talking about it. When I'm getting to a really juicy subject, to me, that's a juicy, think of it. I mean, you talk about healthcare, it's all around medicines and everything else. And Byron, how big a deal is that, right? By the way, this guy's going to be a great governor. Okay. Gonna be great. Ag commissioner, you just stand up. What a job he's doing. What a job he's doing. My ag commissioner, who I endorsed a long time. So I just want to thank you all. You guys are doing a great job. Byron, you're going to be fantastic. We have somebody named Ashley, who's very respected. Will you please stand up? Senator, our great senator. I suppose you're all leading like a lot, but remember, make it too big to rig. You got to go out and vote. Don't assume anything, you know. We did great in the second election. It was a rigged election, but we did great. And I said, well, I had the ultimate poll because we won the second election by a lot. So that's a good poll, so we did it again. And I said, too big to rig. You got to make it too big. They showed me leading by a lot. I said, don't be fooled. Just go out and vote because they are cheaters. They cheat like hell. But all of you have to do, and really what you want to do is Trump, and I didn't name it. This was named by Bobby Kennedy and Dr. Oz. I did not name it. Is that right? I said, what is that? TrumpRx.gov, okay? I said, everyone thinks I put my name on it. I don't think I'm going to put my name on medical things. I mean, you know. Medical things can be very dangerous to have your name on, to be honest with you, but it's setting, I guess, records from what I understand. There's never been anything like it. So TrumpRx.gov, go to it and buy your medicines for very little money. Very little money, difference. Nobody's ever seen it that way. And I wish the press would talk about it, but the word is out, and it doesn't probably matter that much. The word is out. They don't want to talk about, they only want to talk about the bad. But this is really something that's special. I'm very proud of it. Today, I'm thrilled to announce that starting on July 1st, we will also provide Medicare patients with the coverage for weight loss drugs like Ozempic, Zepbound, Wegovy. It will be available for $50 a month. $50. Wow. Now think of that, $50 a month. So if it was $1,300, now it's $50, and the $1,300 doesn't cover a whole month, so it's really even more than that. So it's now down to $50. So That's where you get it. And also, and you remember when I cut insulin and I got it down to $25 insulin, it was $2,000. And that was before this. That was before this. I'm so glad you mentioned insulin. You know, when I got insulin done, it was at the end of my term, and I got it done, but it doesn't kick in statutorily for 2 years. And I said, I better win the election. This is going into the second election, because what a job I did. And, you know, insulin was at like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. I got it to $25, but it kicked in about a year and a half, 2 years later. Statutorily, you had to wait a period of time and all of that nonsense. So I said, boy, I better win, because if I don't, some guy is going to take credit for something that I did that they could have never done. Lo and behold, the election was rigged. And I saw Biden a year later standing up there saying, I did a great job on insulin. He doesn't even know what the hell, he had no idea. And I was sitting there seething. I was watching television. You know what it is to seethe? I seethe a lot. But this is one of the times I was seething. Oz knows that. I was so angry. I said, I did it, and I didn't get credit for it. We did a lot of things we didn't get credit for, but I guess I did, because here I am, I'm president. I guess I did. Not only are we taking care of your physical health, we're also taking care of the financial health of our seniors. As you have probably seen, the 401ks and retirement accounts of millions of American seniors are skyrocketing like never before. You know, we're in a war, because I think you would agree, we cannot let lunatics have a nuclear weapon. Do you agree? Whoa. Because if you read the fake polls and things, it says, well, it's only a 20% or 25%. It's nonsense. Look at this. I'm talking about all these things you're getting, and you stand up when I talk about you can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. We can't. But I did something that was, I don't know, foolish, brave, but it was smart. I would do it again, but I thought the numbers would be much worse. I thought the stock market would go down much more. I thought the oil prices would go up much more. I said, but we have no choice. Whether it does or doesn't, I have to do what's right. We can't let them have a nuclear weapon. So I called in. Scott Bassett and all of my people, mostly my financial people, and I said, all right, folks, congratulations. We just hit the highest price in the history of the stock market. So I said the Dow would never hit 50 during my 4 years, because it was too much of a raise. They thought 6, 7 years out, maybe it could hit 50,000. They said the S&P could never hit 7,000, right, Scott? That would be even more unlikely. Maybe at the end of the 4th year, but probably not. It would be 5, 6 years out. And we hit 50,000 on the Dow before the end of my first year. We hit 7,000 on the S&P before the end of my first year. The stock market is rocking and rolling. Your 401ks are at the highest they've ever been. I don't know how the hell you could be doing badly. But your 401ks are setting records. I have people coming up to me and saying, you've made me a hero to my wife. You've made me a hero. I've had numerous policemen. I had one guy from years ago, because I did the same thing. We had the greatest financial markets in the history of our country in my first term. We're blowing it away now. We're blowing everything away. There's never been a country this successful in that sense before. But now I said, okay, you ever do this? Well, you're doing so well. I said, so we just set every record. We have the highest stock market in history. We have things that just go. And by the way, there are more jobs today in our country than at any time in the history of our country by far, right? So, but we have to think a little long term. And I said to Scott and Howard and all of the people that worked for me, great people, Jameson, Greer, all of them, I called them in and I said, fellas, congratulations. We have the highest stock market we've ever had. Everyone's doing great. Oil prices were very low. They were 60 and 70. You were buying oil for $2 and even less. Remember, just a couple of months ago, you were at $2 and $1.85. In Iowa, it was $1.85 a gallon. I said, congratulations. Now I'm going to upset the apple cart for you because we have to take a little journey down to a beautiful country known as Iran, and we have to make sure that they don't have a nuclear weapon. We stopped them with the B-2 bombers. If we didn't do that, we would have had a nuclear weapon. Israel would have been blown to pieces. The Middle East would have been blown to pieces. I think Europe would have been blown to pieces. But under what we were doing, I said, look, we're going to have to make this journey. So it's almost like we built up this great thing, and then I said, now we have to break the eggs a little bit, and we have to go and do it. And the only thing that I'm surprised is that I really thought oil would be, Dr. Oz, we talked about it. I thought oil would be much higher than it turned out to be. I mean, it's not low. It's certainly not low. It's going to come crashing down as soon as this war is over, and they're getting decimated. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. They have no radar. They have no leaders. Their leaders are all gone. Very sad. Very fine people. But with all of that, I said we have to do it, so I think you understand. But I am surprised. I thought the stock market would go down by 25%. I thought that oil prices would be at much higher than they are right now. They're not nearly as high as I thought. And we're going to, look, we're winning so big. We're winning again. Their Air Force is gone. Their ships are gone. They have a Navy, 159 ships. That's a pretty good Navy. Within the first week, 159 out of 159 ships are right now lying at the bottom of the sea. Their Navy is gone. And we're discussing, I spoke to him today, we're discussing, it's a little hard to figure out who their leaders are, frankly. You know, their leaders are gone. The first set is gone. The second set is gone. Khomeini was gone. And they were pretty evil people. Not pretty evil, they were evil. They killed 42,000 protesters. 42,000! And in a period of 2 weeks, they killed 42,000 protesters. But we had to get this done, and we're really doing well. We're just winning. If it were a fight, they'd stop it. If this were a fight, they'd stop it. You know that expression? It's true. But they're not coming through with the kind of deal that we have to have, and we're going to get this thing done properly. We're not going to leave early and then have the problem arise in 3 more years. Under 4 years of Crooked Joe, I go crooked and sleepy. Which is better, Sleepy Joe or Crooked Joe? Ready? Sleepy Joe. Crooked Joe. I love it. It's free polls. You know, if I went to a pollster, they're all phony. If I went to a pollster, I'd pay $1 million for that question. Give me $1 million, sir. And then they don't go to interview. They just put it down, whatever they want. You know? They say, we scoured the countryside. They didn't scour. They sit in their room watching television. They say, oh, let's give Trump a little bit of an advantage that makes him happy. Under 4 years of crooked Joe Biden, the average 401k rose at the rate of $875 a year. Okay, that's something, a little raise. But you know why he rose? Because of me with the 4 years that we had. Because after that, there was nothing. He would have gone down. They took over the momentum of what we created in the first 4 years, which was incredible. Under Trump, so it's $875. Under Trump, the number 875 is the rise, $30,000. So it's 875 versus $30,000. For seniors, that number is $50,000, $60,000, even $70,000 or more a year. That's what you went up. And just yesterday, I signed an executive order that will, for the first time, expand matching IRA contributions to the millions and millions of Americans who lack employer-sponsored plans. Obviously, some of you. And starting next year, every citizen will be able to go to TrumpIRA.gov and sign up for a high-quality, low-cost IRA so that everyone can benefit from the rising stock market. Go sign up. These are all things that people have been talking about for years, right, Scott? They've been talking about them for years. In 4 years, the Biden administration got less than $1 trillion of new investment. So in 4 years, he got much less than $1 trillion people investing in the country, other countries, other people. In my first 11 months, we secured commitments for more than $18 trillion now pouring into our country from all over the globe. Think of that. Think of that. Less than $1 trillion in 4 years, and 11 months. The 12th month hasn't come out yet. We've been that long enough. But in 11 months, $18 trillion. So that's 18 times more. But think of it. It's really almost 100 times more if you really multiply it out properly. A short time ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. Congratulations. Core inflation has dropped to a 5-year low. And I tell you, the only thing, we got a little raise with gasoline. It's going to come down lower than what it was. Don't forget, we had that gasoline down to $2 and below $2 in many cases. It's going to come tumbling down. There is so much oil out there. It's pent up. It's locked up in the Strait of Hormuz, a beautiful place. It's, I think they have close to 400 ships loaded up with oil. When all of that gets released, when all of that comes out, these people tried to hold up our country for years and years, the world, by closing up the Strait of Hormuz. When all of that stuff comes out, you're going to see prices dropping on gasoline like you've never seen, and all of that, electricity, gasoline, anything having to do with energy. Grocery prices are way down. Used car prices are way down. Look at eggs. Eggs are down by 4, even 5 times. Remember when I took over, eggs were so high? Remember my first news conference as president of second term? 2 days in, I said, ladies and gentlemen, do you have any questions? What about eggs? I said, what? Eggs, egg prices are 4 times higher than they were a year ago. I said, I just got here. I've only been here for a day and a half. And we had a problem with eggs. The prices were through the roof. I got them down to now they're lower than they were at the lowest point 4 years ago. Think of that. But I got them down. Does anybody write about it? No. That's why I like doing speeches. You know, they don't write about it, so I do speeches. That way I can talk about it. Sometimes you got to do it yourself. Earlier this year, I directed Fannie and Freddie to buy, you know what that is? Well, where's Bill? Where's Bill Pulte? He's around here someplace. He's done what a great job. He's created $1 trillion value. Look at him over there. He's jumping. Smart guy. During my first term, I was offered, sounds like a lot of money, but it's very little compared to what, less than $100 million to buy Fannie and Freddie. And I said, nope, I don't want to sell it. Don't sell it. They wanted to sell it so badly. And now it's worth over $1 trillion. If I would have sold it, I would have felt like a schmuck, you know, to be honest. It's worth over $1 trillion. What is it, about $1 trillion now, right? He says higher. No, we could have sold it. We could have given it away for nothing, practically nothing. So I directed Fannie and Freddie to buy $200 billion in mortgage bonds, bringing interest rates plummeting down from nearly 8% under Sleepy Joe and 6% even lower. And don't forget, we had a hostile Fed. We had a guy, too late. We call him too late. He's too late with interest reductions. Jerome Too Late Powell. We had I haven't figured out, is he a bad guy or a dumb guy? But it doesn't matter. The end result, he's either dumb, bad, maybe he's a combination of both. But in any event, because rates, we would have had them even lower, but we've done great considering that we're fighting. Now we have a great Federal Reserve chair coming in, and he's going to be fantastic, Kevin Warsh. We've reduced the annual cost of a typical new mortgage by $4,000. Think of that, $4,000 a year after decades of other countries stealing our jobs and plundering our wealth, taking advantage of our country like we're a bunch of fools. Thanks to our strong policy on tariffs, I love those tariffs. We cut our gaping trade deficit by 55% this year alone. So we had a trade deficit with massive when I took over. And if you cut it by 1%, 2%, you're considered like a genius. I cut it by 55%. And next year is even better. And that's despite the Supreme Court making me do the tariffs a different way. I cannot believe they did that, but they did it. They shouldn't have done that, but it doesn't matter. I'm doing it a different way, a little more work, a little more time. Pay back $159 billion of the money that you got in. But we're doing it. It's actually very solid. It's 100%, can't be challenged. And we informed the very beautiful country of Germany that because of the fact that they and other European nations have not adhered to our trade deal. They haven't adhered to our trade deal. We have a trade deal that Scott and me and Howard and all our great people, Jameson, we all did a great trade deal, but the European Union has not adhered to it. So we've increased the tariffs on all cars coming into the United States by 25% and trucks. Knowing that if Mercedes and BMW and the truck companies and all of the people out there that send stuff in and didn't pay anything for years, they ripped us off, they took our jobs away from us. Not anymore, it's the opposite. They're all coming back. You know, factories are pouring back into our country, but they're all coming back. But we informed them that we're going to charge them, we're going to increase their tariff to 25%, knowing that if they build their plants in the United States, there is no tariff. They have to hire our great American workers, and there is no tariff. Think of it. And we've added now, we are now building AI plants all over everything, but we have part of that $18 trillion. But we have more construction going on in what they call plant and equipment than we've ever had before, in car plants. We had a period of time that for 25 years we didn't build one plant. They took our car industry away. It went to Germany, Japan, Mexico, Canada. It went to the European Union like crazy. Germany, think of it. It went to the European Union. We went for a period of almost 30 years with barely building a plant. Now we're building more plants for cars and trucks than we've ever built in the history of our country, including prime time from many years ago. They're all coming back because they don't want to pay tariffs. Very simple. Very simple. They don't want to pay tariffs. If you don't want to pay tariffs, that's fine. Build your plant here. Build it in Florida. I don't think of you too much as, you don't need the cars, but build it in Florida. Any place in the United States is okay with me, but they're building them all over our country. We added 186,000 private sector jobs in March. Jobless claims just hit the lowest level since 1969. Think of it, jobless claims. So, since 1969. The lowest level since 1969. And more Americans are working today, as I said, than at any time in the history of our country by far. It's not even close. And with our no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, we're doing something that has never been done. And the consumer, which is you have more money to spend than you have in many, many decades. Very importantly, for our great seniors, I hate to mention this, it's so negative. It's called the estate tax, because nobody in this room will ever die. But just in case you should, if you have children that you love, it's very important. If you don't love your children, then it doesn't matter too much. Who cares? Oh, I know some that won't leave their kids. They hate their kids, but, you know, these are bad people. They're usually very wealthy, too. I don't know what that's all about. But we have no inheritance tax. We have no death tax. Who really affects is the farmer, the small farmers, medium-sized farmers. They're called land-rich, cash-poor. You know, they have beautiful land that's very valuable, but they don't make tremendous income. And they die, they leave it to their children. Their children goes out to the local banker, borrows money to pay the tax because the tax was 50% and more. And they end up losing their farm. In many cases, they love their life. They commit suicide. It's a crazy thing. They lose their whole life and they commit suicide. There's no more of that. So when you die, you leave your farm or your small business to your children. You have no estate tax. You have no death tax. I think that's a big deal. To me, that's a big deal, right? Byron, that's a good one, right? That's good. You know, you want to lead your way of life. You don't want to be forced to sell your farm. Sometimes you can't sell your farm for what they think it's worth, and you have nothing but trouble. What a problem it was. You don't have to worry about it anymore. We made interest on new car loans tax deductible, but only if you buy a car that's made in America. Otherwise, we couldn't care less. That's a big deal. So that you go out and you borrow money to buy a car, and, you know, you paid interest, you didn't get, now you get a deduction. That's like 40, 50%. It's like a phenomenal thing. You get 100% deduction on interest. So the interest payments that you make to the bank for the car loan, you're able to deduct that from income tax. Now, it has to be made in America. So go buy American cars or cars that are made in America. And we also created the brand new Trump accounts along with a really fantastic family, the Dell family. Have you used their computers recently? Susan and Michael Dell, they're amazing people. He put up $6.25 billion. A lot of people said, I'm going to match him on the 250, but even the 250 is a lot. Think of it. He was the first one. He bought $6.25 billion of these accounts for children all over the country. And it was just announced this morning that it's setting records so that, you know, when your beautiful baby, we have an automatic $1,000 contribution for every newborn child. And it allows everyone to contribute to a tax-free savings account for your grandchildren. A lot of people are buying it for their grandchildren to benefit them. So that after they turn 18, they could have $100,000, $125,000, $150,000, depending on what goes on. And they can be sort of rich. And it's an amazing thing, and it's like a wildfire. It's doing so great, right, Scott? It's been really an amazing thing. And with us today is a grandmother who lives in the Villages named Mary Alice. After a long career in the Mexican real estate and automobile industry, she and her husband retired to the Villages. And thanks to our great, big, beautiful bill, I love that bill. You know, we have 4 years' worth of stuff. That's why we call it the great, big, beautiful bill. We were going to have 19 separate bills. And I said to Mike Johnson, John Thune, I said, fellas, Speaker of the House, head of the Senate, I said, let's try for one big, beautiful, because I don't know, these Democrats are crazy. And it was early. We had a little bit of a honeymoon, just a little tiny bit. I said, let's see if we can get everything in one bill. And everyone said, no way, you're not going to do it. It's the greatest, it's the biggest thing ever passed in the history of our country, the great, big, beautiful. And it's mostly, it should be called the great, big, beautiful tax cut bill. But also we have tremendous regulatory cuts, and that's why your jobs are so good, because all of these people, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, everything, they're able to take regulations with a little bit of a grain of salt. It's not going to put you out of business. There are tremendous regulation cuts, and it's really been amazing. So they just received a tax refund of double the size of anything that they've ever gotten. Think of this, Mary Alice, for years she's gotten peanuts, and now she's gotten a tax of double the size, and in many cases 4 or 5 times the size of anything she ever got before. So Mary Alice is now considered a rich person. Come on up, Mary Alice, say a few words. Come on up. Oh, look at her. She looks good. She's a rich woman. Come on, Mary.
Thank you, President Trump. It's such a pleasure to meet you.
Hey, wait, let me get this out. You want me to get that out? Wait.
Oh, yeah, because I'm really short.
I think you'll be good.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank President Trump for everything he's done for all of us. And the big, beautiful bill helped my husband and I so much this year. We were so shocked when we picked up our tax return and the accountant told us how much money we were getting back. We were just thrilled. It was double what we thought we would get. We ended up using some of that money to pay for a new roof. Now, we all know we live in Florida and we all need roofs. So we were able to use some of that money for the new roof, and we're thrilled that we were able to do that, and we didn't deplete our savings account. So, and this is all because of the no tax on Social Security. And, you know, we live on a income that's fixed. And so we have to be careful how we spend our money. And thanks to President Trump and his administration, we've been able to live a great life here in Florida. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, President.
So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, darling. Careful. Be a bit really. Thank you. Wow.
That's better than I can do, I'll tell you right now. No, it's a great story. Thank you, Mary Alice. You're really something special. Thank you. Congratulations. But never forget, every single Democrat in Congress voted against no tax on Social Security. They voted against it, every single one. We didn't get one vote positive because they're just like a sick unit of people. Just like the State of the Union speech. I introduced people, the mother of somebody who was slaughtered by an illegal immigrant that came in, slaughtered so horribly, and please stand up. And the mother stands up. She's beside herself. The Democrats are sitting here. They didn't move. They're just sitting here. No. Just sitting here long fast. The Republicans are going crazy there. They're screaming, and they love, you know, they love the woman that they wouldn't clap, or the helicopter pilots that did so well in Venezuela, a great, incredible military achievement. And he was shot in the legs, bringing down a lot of men in the helicopters, a big Chinook. And he was shot in the legs, and you operate those things with the legs more than anything else. And he was very badly hit hard in the legs, and he brought that helicopter down, and then he says, take over because I'm going to be passing out now, after it was perfectly landed in exactly the location they had to be. Otherwise, we could have had a problem like Jimmy Carter had. You remember that problem with helicopters crashing back and forth? It was not good, but that was Venezuela. How good did that work out, right? And we introduced him, handsome guy, beautiful looking guy. We introduced him. We gave him the Congressional Medal of Honor. That first time it's ever been done in the State of the Union. We gave him the Congressional Medal of Honor. And the Democrats sat there like a bunch of dead people. They didn't move. And I called them out. I said, you people are crazy. There's something wrong with you. But they voted against income tax cuts for seniors. They voted in favor of the largest tax hike in the history of our country. They wanted the largest tax hike in the history of our country. They also created the catastrophic inflation that I told you about, worst really in our history. If congressional Democrats had their way, Florida seniors would be paying higher taxes, higher prices, while Republicans have given you much lower taxes, much lower prices. You know, I use the word affordability, but I was the one that received these high prices. You know, it's amazing. I come into office and I say, wow, look at how high these prices are. And the Democrats start screaming, affordability, affordability. They're the ones that caused the problem. I'll tell you one thing. They got one good line of bullshit. That's one thing I'll say about it. They are so bad. They are so bad. It's true. Affordability. It's the first time I heard the word. I'm 2 days in, and I watch his sleazebag, one of these crazy congressmen, get up, and he's being interviewed. He said, affordability, prices are too high. I've just got there. But we brought prices way down. They gave us tremendously high prices, and they'll give them to you again. They take over. You have to get out and vote in the midterms because they'll give them to you again. And we're pleased to be joined today by some of those great warriors from the House and Senate, including someone who is representing your great state really well. And I introduced her just briefly before, but she's fantastic. She's a great person, a great senator, Ashley Moody. Thank you for being here, Ashley. Thank you, Ashley. And I also want to introduce Randy Fine, who's back there, Kat Kamek, who's over here, Daniel Webster, who, by the way, is retiring. I don't like that. Where's Daniel? You're around here someplace. Daniel, stand up, Daniel. What a career. He's retiring. And I know we have a good Republican taking your place, if that's possible to take your place. Thank you, Daniel. Great career. We appreciate it. Long time. How many years? Long time. He's been there a long time. A great gentleman. And a man who never stops fighting for the state of Florida. I know it. He is a fighter. Byron Donalds. Byron. Special. Special guy. Thank you. Thank you. He's so far ahead in the polls, I don't have to ask him to come up. I would ask him, but when you know, my theory is when you're up by more than 20 points, I don't want to waste the time. Okay, is that all right? He's killing him. Another great friend of mine, Florida Agriculture Commissioner Wilton Simpson, who's running and going to be great. He's a great guy. And the Florida CFO, Blas Ingolia. Blas, where are you? Yes, Blas, thank you. Thank you, good job. We're also joined by very much of a legend. He's really an amazing, he straightens you out mentally, probably has his own problems, but we don't have to know about that. But we've all grown up watching him. I've watched him for so many years. I did a show before the election, and I thought I was sort of doing him a favor by doing him the show. I said, I'm hotter than he is. Why the hell should I do a show? But I did it, and I have never had such a response as I had on that show. Where's Dr. Phil? Are you here? Come here. Come here, Dr. Phil. No, I did his show. Wow. Come on up here, Dr. Phil. Get up here. Give them a little lecture, but very short. Give them a little lecture on life. Talk about life for 2 minutes or less.
Well, hello. I had a different reaction than the president when I told my wife I was coming to the Villages. She said, oh, no. No. Not without me, you're not. Those people are crazy partiers. She says, Robin says, give you her love. She really wanted to be here, but we have grandchildren, so I'm now 5th in line. By the way, Mr. President, I've given that cognitive test that he took. I used to administer those, where you give them 9,000 divided by 2, 6, 7. I recall one guy did that about the president's age. Took about 6 minutes to go through it. I said, so what's your answer? He said, a small wire-haired terrier. So great that he got that done. No kidding. Listen, I really do want to take a chance to talk about this a little bit, because what the president is doing here is really something you got to think about differently. He's restoring trust between Americans and the government, because you understand you understand that this was, your benefits were never supposed to be taxed to begin with. That was the deal the American government made with the American people. And from 1935 until 1983, that was the deal. And then they changed the deal. That wasn't what you started with. That wasn't the deal. And President Trump is trying to bring the deal back and say you can trust your government to do what they tell you they will do. President Trump is fighting to restore trust between Americans and the government. And he's trying to right a wrong here. One of the things that President Trump does is he tries to solve problems that nobody else is even working on. They're not even working on this stuff, and he's solving those problems. He's solving the problems other people, they're not even working on. This taxation is double. It's double taxation. Workers pay their 6.2% with after-tax dollars and then are taxing them again, which is patently unfair. You're paying taxes twice. And he's not willing to say that. And seniors are vulnerable because you have fixed incomes and no ability to earn your way out of a broken tax promise for a tax burden. And he's fighting for that so you don't have to do that. And I think everybody should recognize he's fighting for something you can't fight back for. And that is so important. And it's really critical that this simplifies everything. And you know, people will say, well, it's going to cost money. That was the deal. That was why they changed the deal. It didn't have anything to do with taxes. It had to do with trying to increase revenue. If we'll just let him go track down the fraud money, it'll more than pay for this 10 times over. It will more than pay for this to stop the fraud in America. Stop the fraud in America. And here's a little reminder. Here's a little reminder in case your mind is playing tricks on you. You matter. You are important. And you are important to this president. I know him, and you are important to this president. And I will tell you a quick story. We win. The end. You know, I've spent most of my life, certainly as a professional, actually since I was 12 years old, studying why people do what they do and don't do what they don't do. And I can tell you that in studying that, I have found out what makes people champions. And I know what makes him a champion. I can tell you, people that are champions play the game with passion. They play the game with passion. They surround themselves with like-minded people who understand why they feel so strongly about what they do. They tell themselves the truth. They deal with the truth when it comes up. And I didn't come down here just to stand up and say a few things and get a little golf clap from everybody and say, nice speech. I wanted to come down here because I want you to remember what I'm saying about President Trump and not getting taxed on your Social Security benefits and about his leadership. I want you to remember that on May 1st, the bald guy came up and told you that this is important and we've got midterms coming up and you need to make sure that not only you vote, but find 10 people and make sure that they vote. Because we have a president that stopped apologizing for America and started taking pride in this country. I don't want you to just hear me. I don't want you to just hear me and give me a little golf clap. I want you to hear me and say, on this day, we decided we are marching for the USA. We are marching for the USA, and we are marching for this president. March for the USA. March for the USA. Thank you, guys.
That was a good job. Thank you, Phil. That was great. So just in finishing up, I just want to say, Phil, that was fantastic. Thank you. So true. You weren't supposed to be paying those taxes, but now you're not. So today we delivered the huge win for our great fishermen and anglers here in Florida. I don't know how many people fish. Does anybody fish? We've just officially approved something they've been looking for a long time, all state permits for the 2026 red snapper recreational season. For years, our great fishermen have been punished with very short federal fishing seasons despite record high fish populations, and the states are begging, they're just begging and the people are begging to get going. We want to go fishing, and the incompetent Biden administration tried to shut down the oceans for our fishermen. We love and respect our fishermen. Unlike the Democrats, we'll only do them good. So to all of those who fish red snapper and other fish, Trump and Noah are delivering for you, so just enjoy it. We're all set. It's all done. You got fish. If you catch some extra fish, enjoy it. We got plenty of fish. There are a lot of fish in the ocean. I don't know where they came up with that one, but there's a lot of fish. You know, the environmental catastrophes that they've done to this country is just terrible. Starting on day one, we took the most dangerous, unsafe, violent, and open border and created the most secure border in the history of the United States of America, with 0 illegal aliens having come into our country in the last 11 months. 0. In 2025, we achieved the largest drop in the murder rate ever recorded. I hate to even say it. It sounds like sort of terrible, but think of it, the murder rate. Who talks about that? But crime has gotten so bad during the Biden administration. It was the largest number of murders that we've ever had. Now we had the lowest number of murders in our country in 125 years. Think of that. All the way back to 1900. We cut the flow of fentanyl across the border by 63%. Think of that. And it doesn't come in at all by water. I wonder why. By water, we're down 97%. And we're all looking for the 3% because we consider them the bravest people anywhere in the world. You saw what we had to do. For years, they would get a boat, they'd bring them in, they'd book them, and they'd let them go. And he'd go back, and they'd go back to wherever they came from in South America. They'd be taking a boat in the next day. No, we stopped it. It was enough. We're down 97% in fentanyl by sea. Think of that. And we unleashed American energy with those beautiful words, those gorgeous words that probably helped me get elected. It's lucky we have all that oil because we're selling a lot of it now. Those ships are coming up instead of the Hormuz Strait. They're coming up. Those ships are coming up by the hundreds. They're loading up in Texas, Louisiana, Alaska. But we had those beautiful words. We have plenty of oil. We have more oil. We have double the oil. If you add up Saudi Arabia and Russia, we're more than double what they produce together. Think of that. The words are drill, baby, drill. And as you can see, we rebuilt our great military in my first term and spent over $1 trillion of investment over the last very short period of time. And despite the fact that they embarrassed us in Afghanistan by leaving a lot of equipment behind, those fools, but it was still a lot of equipment, but not a lot compared to what we did. But we rebuilt it during my first term and my first year. And I didn't know we'd have to use it this much, but if you look at what we've done, I mean, Venezuela is considered one of the greatest military movements in history. There's never been anything like it. And frankly, we're doing just about as well in Iran, but I don't like talking about it until the jobs are finished. Let's not talk about anything until it gets finished. But think of it, their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, their whole place is gone. And then we get people to say that we're not winning. You know, we get the radical left to say, we're not winning. They don't have any military left. It's unbelievable. It's actually, I believe it's treasonous. Okay, you want to know the truth? It's treasonous. So we rebuilt our military. We have the greatest military anywhere in the world, and we've proven that. In Venezuela, we're proving it right now in Iran. They're looking at this saying, what the hell is this? This should have been done, Iran, by other presidents long before me, and it should have been done by other countries, too. And we got no help from NATO. We got no help, zero from NATO. You know, we spent trillions of dollars on NATO. We got no help. We didn't need it, but we got none. I said, would you like to come? Yeah, you're fired. He said, fire him. No, they know they got problems. No, it was a paper tiger. We got critical race theory out of our schools. We abolished DEI all across our federal government. Our people are prospering again, our country is winning again, and America is respected again, perhaps respected more right now than ever before. And if you go back 1 year, 1.5 years, we were a laughingstock all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. The whole thing was ridiculous. Couldn't walk upstairs or downstairs. Now, I'm very careful when I say this, because there'll be a day when I may go down, and I don't want to be too strong on that, because if it happens, I want to just pop up and say, hi, everybody, how you doing? But he fell excessively. He fell more than any human. I think he set a record, most falls in history. Nah, he was a laughingstock. The falls were the least of it. He was an absolute, what they did to our country. I'm telling you, we wouldn't have a country. We couldn't have stood another year of it with the borders. Our borders were being, that wasn't people coming, that was an invasion of our country. 11,888 murderers, 50% of which, more than that, killed more than one person. These are the people they allowed into our country. The good news is we're getting them back, and we're getting them out. We're getting them out. And I want to thank Border Patrol, and I want to thank ICE for the abuse that they have to take from the Democrats. That's nice. They'll be happy to hear that. That's very nice. Very nice. Thank you. They'll be happy to hear that. They watch. I mean, ICE, the job they have, Border Patrol, the job they have. Think of it, the border, 11 months, 0 people came through our border. 0. And those charts are made up by Democrats. They don't even try. The answer is, that used to be thousands, hundreds of thousands of people lined up trying to break into our country. Now there's nobody. You have these plazas, there's nobody in them. They don't, because they know they're not coming in. But the job that Border Patrol and ICE, and then they get ridiculed and defunded. They will defund your police. If they had free reign, the Democrats will defund your police. We cannot. This is what they're doing with ICE. This is what they're doing with Border Patrol. With the help of our Republican majorities in Congress, we will pass the great health care plan, stop all payments to big insurance companies, and give the money directly to the people to buy their own health care, which will be a much better health care at a much lower price than ours. You're working on that. It's one of the most popular things. The problem is the Democrats will not vote for it because they're owned by these big insurance companies. They're owned, lock, stock, and barrel. We want to pay the money not to the insurance company, but to the people directly to the people, a health savings account, directly into that account, and you go out and buy your own much better health insurance at a much lower cost. Money left over will crush violent crime. We have done an unbelievable job on crime. Impose harsh new penalties for repeat offenders, crack down on Marxist prosecutors, rogue judges, and end deadly sanctuary cities, which is basically only to protect criminals. It's a sanctuary for criminals, and we will end one of the worst things that's happened in our country. It's just absolutely hurt our country so badly. No cash bail. They go in, they murder somebody, they're out on the street in another 15 minutes after going into a court. No bail, no cash bail. As a disaster, we'll end it. And we will defend America's borders. We'll pass the Save America Act to protect our sacred American election. Because all voters must show voter ID, all voters must have proof of citizenship. And there will be no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military deployment, or travel. And we will also enshrine in permanent law no men in women's sports. And did you ever hear of something like that? I'm just, as I say it a lot. Can you imagine 15 years ago saying that? There will be no men in women's sports. People would say he's crazy. There's something wrong with that guy. It's a real fight. I watched one of these local congressmen the other day saying, we must have men and women's sports. The whole thing is crazy. You ever see the weightlifting records? It's like a 112-pound difference. A record stands for 19 years. And a woman, great athlete, beautiful woman, slightly muscular, slightly, a little bit more than normal, but she's a great weightlifter and stood for 19. They put an eighth of an ounce on one side of the barbell, an eighth of an ounce on the other. She's going for Olympic gold, and she wants to qualify. It's easy. It's going to be easy. She's better than the other women. And she gets up and she works and she works, and my wife hates when I do this. My wife, our great first lady, how about it? She's a movie star now. Can you believe it? Terrible. I don't know if I'm happy about that or sad about that. But no, she had the #1 movie. You saw that, Melania. And then it was #1 streaming, and I said to her, no family can have 2 stars. What do you think about that, Dr. Phil? No family can have 2 stars, Dr. Phil. This is not a good situation. I don't like it. Dr. Phil would tell me I'm right, but don't say it. No, she's done a great job, but she hates it when I do the thing on weightlifting. She says it's so unpresidential. And she hates when I dance, too, at the end, too. She hates when I dance to what's sometimes referred to as the gay national anthem. You know that. She hates it. You know, that song was #5 32 years ago, and it went to #1 32 years later. There's never been anything like it. It never hit #1. It was #5 32 years ago, and it went to #1 for months during the last months of the game. We love that song. But she goes, darling, please. You know, she's a very elegant woman. She goes, darling, please don't dance. It's not presidential. I said, it may not be presidential, but I'm leading by 20 points in the poll, so something. But she particularly hates the image of me showing sweat and strain of the young woman trying to win the weightlifting contest against a group of women and one gentleman who decided to go on to the other side. He transferred to the other side. And transgender anyone? And she got up, and her mother was down there. Oh, her mother was so proud with the American flag, a little American flag, like you remember George Foreman, the great George Foreman, had that little tiny flag when he went. She had one of them too, and she was screaming for her child, who was a weightlifter, a real good one, and she got up, and she grabbed it. She grabbed it. Oz is a big physical fitness guy. And she got it. Come on, baby, you can do it. The mother's screaming. The father didn't care because he doesn't believe that his daughter can beat the person that's coming up next. The father's saying there's no way she's beating that guy. So she gets up and she puts, and she's ready. Now she's just got to do that fun. She's almost home. 1/8 of a pound more on each. 1/8, just a tiny little bit. Come on, darling. The mother's screaming like crazy. Darling, I love you, darling. Mom, I can't do it. Well, couldn't do it. She failed. She was devastated. And then a young lady comes up who was a young man just a little while ago. And he was actually a very poor, he was a weightlifter, but he was at one of the worst in the country. He was the lowest rung, about as low as you can get. So he transferred over to the other side. And he stood over that big barbell, and he looked at it. The guy could have lifted another 150 pounds. The whole thing is crazy, okay? But the Democrats want men to play in women's sports. And I won't go into swimming or anything else, but the whole thing is ridiculous. And we want no transgender surgery and mutilation of our children. So with the help of everyone in the villages, I only got 97% of the vote. You know, we're still looking for that 3% also. Could all of those that voted for don't forget, I had to run against 2 candidates. One was Sleepy Joe, and then he petered out. You know, typically when you're 30 points down, you're not going to win. Think of it. It's like you're in a fight. UFC, the great Dana White, you're in a fight. The fighter's being just absolutely killed, and they take him out, give you another guy to beat. That's not. So they gave me another guy by the name of Kamala. And they said she'll have a 6-week honeymoon period, and then they'll get to know her. And it's true. Remember, she had a little honeymoon period, and she wouldn't do interviews. She wouldn't do. I said, there must be something wrong with her. Why wouldn't she do even favorable interviews like Dr. Phil? Dr. Phil would have done an interview. I don't know if he would have been so nice to her. Actually, he might have been tough. He might have been tough on her, Phil. But so then I had Kamala. We beat Kamala by a landslide. Think of it. We won every swing state. We won all 7. They said Trump could win 3 swing states and still win the election. He's leading by so much he could win. We won all 7 swing states. We won the Electoral College in a landslide. We won the popular vote by millions. We won the popular. You know, I hated the first time. We won the popular vote the first time, too, by a lot, by millions. But they had me down a little bit in the popular vote, and they'd always introduce me. Donald Trump, who lost the popular vote. This is the way I got to always introduce. That's why I said, I got to win the popular vote. You know, it's all about the Electoral College. But every time they introduced me, they'd say, ladies and gentlemen, a man who lost the popular vote, but he's president. This is the way I got introduced, you know? So I said, I don't like that. So we won the popular vote by a lot. With all their cheating, that was popular vote AC. You know what AC means? After cheating. We still won it. Because they cheat like hell. That's what they do best. They cheat on elections. Look, if they did, in all fairness to them, if they didn't cheat, it would be impossible to win. You don't win when you have open borders, when you have men and women's sports, when you have the transgender, think of this, transgender mutilization of your children. Oh, please vote for me. I'm all in favor of transgender mutilization of your child. You don't win the kind of things, weak on crime, high on taxes. They voted against all of these tax cuts that we got here. They voted against. They didn't vote against because they thought they were doing something good. They voted against because I was in favor. Anything I'm in favor, I'm telling you, I'm going to run a much different campaign. I'm going to oppose all of those things that are really, really good. We're going to win. We're going to get such Democrat support, you're not going to believe it. They have no clue. But we're going to keep on fighting for American seniors. We've done more for the senior than any other person ever in this office. And we're going to keep on winning for America. We'll honor 250 years of independence, liberty, and freedom. We have it coming up. And we've made our country great. You know, we'll never, ever disrespect MAGA, Make America Great Again. But, you know, when you think about it, Make America Great Again, America is now great. So to say Make America Great Again, but I'm still not getting rid of MAGA. We're not getting rid, because MAGA is the greatest slogan, the greatest branding, the greatest anything in the history of politics of any country. You remember last time, because we were doing so well, I had a potential slogan, Keep America Great. So instead of Make America Great Again, it was Keep America Great. Here's the problem, CAG. I said, that doesn't work, CAG. And I just couldn't get away. And then I did polls. Would you rather have MAGA, Make America Great Again, or CAG? Keep it. And everyone says, we want MAGA, we want MAGA. But what we do have is a new kind of a thing. It's America is back. And that's really true. America is back. Bigger, better, and stronger than ever. It's back bigger, better, and stronger than ever. And just to put it in some words that you've heard before, together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America, Dr. Oz, healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you. Thank you very much. The Villages. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you all.
Came up to me and said, young man,